It's Cricbuzz Chatter, Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan here at Lords at the back after a quite staggering final day in many respects. So much happened. Australia eventually victorious by 43 runs. They're 2-0 up in this series after holding back Ben Stokes, or maybe they didn't. He made 155, a big top edge in what became the final session of the match. If not for that, they win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ben Stokes once again proved that the impossible was almost on. I just don't know where he gets this clarity and this power and these the shots that he's played. I mean, he did it in the World Cup final here in 19. The Headingley innings, I actually thought this one almost was surpassing that great Headingley knock. It was remarkable cricket. That moment that he realised he had to start striking, he's just almost like, he's going to do it. But it's the cleanness of the hitting. And I have to say, Stuart Broad, I mean, he took that one on the jaw in the first innings. The courage a lot of the tail ends on both teams have actually shown this week. The bounces have been a go-to ball. Yep. Jimmy Anderson at the end there, 40 years of age, getting absolutely peppered. So a huge amount of courage for the tail enders. Ben Stokes, it was always feeling like a tall order. But because it was Ben Stokes and because of 2019, I think the whole ground, the ground today was electric. Yep. It almost got... I think this England team are a better team when the crowd are a bit raucous, when it's a bit lively, like the Holly Stand got going at Edgbaston, Headingley with the Terrace, that'll get going, Old Trafford. And Lords felt like those venues today, and this England team kind of thrive off that kind of atmosphere. But the Aussies are 2-0 up for a reason. They've managed to win the key moments better than England have done in the first two games. But can England win the last three? I don't think so. Can they win in Leeds? If they play like they've done for the last couple of days in particular. I thought the last 2 days here, they've showed a lot of fight, a lot of skill. Of course they can win at Leeds, but it's a long shot to win 3 on the trot from here for England.
I think I'm right in saying that only in 1936-37 as the side come back from 2-0 down to win in Ashes. So about the moment that Stokes flicked the switch, it seemed to coincide with Johnny Bairstow's dismissal. We might go there because not for any other reason than to get your sense of the dismissal itself. So Carey clearly was entitled within the laws of the game to do as he did. Stokes was asked after play about spirit of cricket. That tends to be used whenever anyone doesn't like something that's not gone their way. It's a preamble in front of the laws of the game. Bairstow was drifting out of his crease for reasons best understood by him. Where did you land on this on commentary?
Well, the spirit of cricket is always a great debate because who breaks the spirit of cricket first? It's like the mankad. You always have a go, and I've been, culprit of that. You have a go at the bowler for mankadding. It's actually the batter that leaves the crease first, so maybe we should have a go at the batter. If you actually look at the Johnny Bairstow situation, Johnny 3 balls on the trot, got the bounce, ducked under it, never once looked back. Yeah. Never once looked back to Alex Carey and just say, I'm all right, I'm okay to leave. And then the last ball of the whether the Australians have talked about that Johnny Bairstow does duck and just kind of never looks back and walks out, I'm not too sure. Carey, I think, just instinctively threw the ball. I'm not blaming Alex Carey at all. I'm not blaming Pat Cummins because it's the law. But it's where does that spirit of cricket first get broken? Is it the fact that Johnny Bairstow didn't ask to leave his crease, or is it the fact that Pat Cummins didn't say to Johnny, come on, we'll allow you a second innings? The laws are the laws. We saw that last night with Mitchell Stark's catch. The laws were broken, that's why it was not out. And in this instance, I think Johnny Bairstow, all the press and everyone will talk about that situation. Ultimately, it's the kind of dismissal that I looked at, Johnny being a bit dozy, I would have done exactly the same. It's the kind of way I would have got out, and my captain Nasser Hussain would have said to me, God, you are so dozy. So I think Pat Cummins is well within his right. He'll get booed for the remainder of the series. The Aussies will get booed everywhere. It kind of brings more drama. I don't think it was the reason why England ultimately lost the Test match. They'll say that it is. That partnership was obviously a big one, but it almost triggered Ben Stokes into playing the way that he did. I hope England are honest with themselves to understand that actually they controlled the Test match at 188 for 1 with Nathan Lyon off the field. And to only have batted 76 overs in the first innings, if they'd have batted 24 more overs or 25, 30 more overs into Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood and Green, got to somewhere near parity in that first innings, which they should have done. The Aussies are under more pressure batting in the second innings. They wouldn't have been chasing the 371. So the moment is obviously today, and that's why we're talking about it. But over the course of 5 days, it's important as a team that you look back at the whole game and realise where certain elements the England side weren't sharp enough, and that's the reason why they're 2-0 down in the series.
Yeah, I think it's a good point from you that having a beef with the opposition can often fire up a player, and Ben Stokes from there. 9 sixes, only one player has hit 8 sixes or more in an Ashes Test match. Stokes has done it twice, of course, Leeds 4 years ago and today. The Aussies did eventually hold their nerve. I mean, there were some concerns about offering Stokes a single from balls 4 and 5 in the over and not making him hit over the top. Kind of what happened with Jack Leach at Leeds when they put on, I think it was 76 to win that test in the 2019 Ashes series. But they finally found a way. It was Josh Hazlewood who, boy oh boy, he went the distance after lunch. But with Stokes trying to hit the other way, what was quite interesting was that Stokes was hitting downhill when targeting the shorter rope. Not quite the shorter rope, but maybe psychologically downhill here at Lords towards the tavern stand and the mound stand. When he tried to go the other way towards the grandstand, first time, first ball, top edge, Alex Carey, the man who was in all the action before lunch with the stumping and all the rest of it, held his nerve as well.
Yeah, I mean, it almost got to a stage like in T20 cricket where you protect certain sides and you get the bowlers to bowl to get to hit to certain sides. And I just thought the Aussies got it wrong. From the nursery stand end to Stokes, they were bowling too straight and he was just picking them off on the leg side. I thought Australia should have thrown it out wide from the nursery stand and get him hitting up the slope. And then obviously from the pavilion end, get him hit up the slope with the short stuff. And, you know, it was a length ball. Ben Stokes is so powerful. He can hit sixes on pretty much every kind of dimension of any cricket ground. But to hit into that far corner, which he tried to take on, maybe he just lost his shape because he realised he had to try and hit it that little bit harder because it's quite a big hit into the wind. You know, he's a human being.
In a hotspot, I'm really interested about how this test match and the short ball strategy. I think there were 470 plus short balls bowled in the match. And the truth is, it really works.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think the way that Test cricket will be played around the world could actually be shaped by what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 days here?
Yeah, I mean, the England side in the last year and a half have shaped the way they want to try and bat in Test match cricket, which is this expansive way, but they've also delivered this short ball tactic. Baz McCullum used it for New Zealand quite a lot. We've seen Wagner over the last few years use it for the Kiwis. You know, I think it's now down to the batters to try and work out a method to make sure that the bowlers can't continuously. I thought Australia yesterday afternoon, just after lunch, I think Robinson bowled 9 overs, 2 for 7. You know, steep bounce, accuracy. You have to find a way of not only surviving it and ducking and weaving, because I think Australia probably thought England would go to a different tactic. England kept on going and going. They'll certainly look at that and the way that the Aussies played it and think, that is the area that we're going to try and target with them at Leeds. Whether Leeds will be the right kind of surface, because this surface was a little bit inconsistent in the bounce. You know, I think the bowler's whacking it in, the odd ball was flying through, the odd ball was kind of dying in the surface, which make the pull shots and the cut shots that much more difficult to time. But Headingley usually is, you know, historically at Headingley it's about hitting the top of off stump and we get a little bit of movement. But I've heard the England captain talk about the balls. You know, these balls, and last year was the same, the Duke ball seems to be getting so soft after around 30 odd overs that it's a tactic that England will continuously turn to. Actually, in the second inning, I thought Australia bowled the short ball badly. You know, they didn't seem to get it, you know, right. They didn't seem to get it high enough to Ben duck it. When they did, they got him out. It was all about chest high, which he was playing the pull shot with a lot of control. But I hope it's not a tactic that we see all the time. I like short pitch bowling when it's used at the right time. But did I enjoy yesterday afternoon's tactic for about 2 or 3 hours? I wouldn't say I was in drenched with the actual cricket, but did it work for England? Yes. And will they use it going forward? Absolutely. All
right, Vaughanie, before we say goodbye from your enthralling test at Lords, let's press fast forward. Fast forward up the motorway, back to a ground you know ever so well. Headingley, a ground that England have actually enjoyed quite a bit in recent times. There's the 19 miracle with Ben Stokes. The last 4 tests I'm pretty sure England have won up there in Yorkshire. Why is it that Yorkshire is such a good place for England to play at for them? Why does it work for them? How can they turn it around next week?
Well, I think there's many reasons. I think they've had the right end of some good decisions at the toss. You know, generally with the ball at Headingley, it moves around a bit more than you see at other venues. The overhead conditions work for the likes of Anderson and Broad. You know, I think the crowd play a big part. I think that, you know, the crowd are really electric up there. They're noisy. They're like a football audience. And I think this England side particularly, you saw it at Lords today, they like that kind of vibe from the crowd. They've just played good cricket. I mean, I don't think there's anything about the surface or the Leeds air that suddenly gets into the England lungs and it goes, oh, we play better cricket because of that. I just think they've managed to play good disciplined cricket. Joe Root scored a lot of runs there. Johnny Bairstow on his home patch as well. He knows how to bat there. Harry Brook. Under a bit of pressure after you know, an iffy first innings shot and obviously a beauty from Cummins in the second innings. But usually at Headingley, I mean, historically it tells you that the team that plays the most disciplined cricket will win the test match. This England team don't necessarily play disciplined cricket, they play exciting baseball cricket that gets us on the edge of our seat. But I will say at Leeds, they will have to play smarter at times. to throw so many wickets away when you're on top. They've been twice now in 2 test matches that England have really dominated periods of the game against an Aussie team. They've had them down and dirty. Yeah. Against real quality teams, once you've got a real good team down and dirty, just get them down dirtier. And England have allowed them back into first test at Edgbaston and obviously here at Lords in that first innings. England are playing about an 80% game. I think they're playing really good cricket for about 80% of the game. And this almost tells me that Australia are a really good team, because for that 20%, the Aussies are just winning the key moments and they're making it count. And that's what the number one team in the world has always been able to do. They've always been able to just play periods and then all of a sudden switch on, win that moment. And if you look at the 2 test matches, the Aussies have always won that key moment. England, certainly from this moment on going through for the rest of the Ashes, they have to win every key moment, starting on the first morning at Leeds.
And here's a good thing. It starts on Thursday. 2 brilliant Ashes test matches resolved on the final afternoon. Australia 2-0 up. They can wrap the whole thing up at Leeds if things go their way as well. This has been Cricbuzz Chatter. Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan. We'll see you up the motorway.